let's jump in. So, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so thankful you're taking some time out of your day to spend it with me. And I hope you're going to get some great value today. Actually, I know you will. So, let's jump in and let's just see. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Karin Haggard. I'm a Swedish brand designer and business strategist. I am the founder of K Haggard Design, and I have guided over hundreds of clients in crafting impactful websites and brands. I am a doer, an athlete, and a creator. Those are my things, my favorite things. And I am a believer in uniqueness, and for sure, kindness is cool. All right, so that's just a little bit about me. So, before we dive into all the keys today, because we are going to go over the keys on how to turn your website into a power, um, power converting, no, a converting powerhouse. That's what I meant to say. All right. So, before we do anything, these are the things that you really need to make sure that you have in place. So you need to be clear on what makes your offer unique, what do you do differently, and even what do you actually offer? But more importantly, what do you do differently? What's unique between you and somebody that's offering the same thing? And then who is your ideal client? Because we really need to know these things to be able to answer all the other things that is coming along with building out a brand and a website. Okay, so make sure you get these two questions, screenshot them, or remember them. These are really important. So the first key is the focus. So, what do we want to focus on the site? When somebody lands on a site, you have a very short time to get their attention and to communicate with them. So we want to make very quickly clear on what it is that we want to focus on. And you want to focus, as we were talking about, these two important questions on top of the slide here is your ideal client and what do you want them to do? So that means, what do we want them to do? As what kind of action do we want them to take? The whole website should be aligned in a way of one main call to action. So you want to make it super clear of what that is. Then we want to make sure we actually focus on the client. So here is real life sample copy, actually. Welcome to our website. This website exists to provide clients a potential client with information concerning our firm and our unique low pressure approach to personal and it should be professional services, I think, if I remember right. That doesn't say anything about the client. It talks only about me, the owner of the site. Instead, we want to, again, focus on the ideal client. You have built wealth. Now it's time to enjoy it. I help you retire on your own terms with a tax smart wealth plan. Okay, so I'm talking directly to the client, with the client. So we can connect and show that we fully understand them. Okay, so we want to make it clear what is the call to action they want to take. And I really want you to focus on the client. I know we want to talk about our site and who we are and what we do, which we should, but we really want to do that in a way where we're speaking with the client to make sure that they are the focus. Next key is before the scroll. So, as I mentioned at the top too, we have very short time when somebody lands on the site to make sure that they know they are on the right site, or if they're not, because we don't want to waste anybody's time, whether it's yours or somebody else. And I see I have a question here. I'm gonna make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, you, gosh. Oh, it's not. No, mine is progressing. Are you seeing it now? Sorry, I didn't miss your questions. Are you able to see the screen now or still not progressing? We go top. Let me know if it's moving. Moving? Question. Let's see. I now see the slide deck. Yes, you're scrolling through. Okay, fantastic. We're moving again. Awesome. So let's see where we were. Oh, we were on before the scroll. So are you guys seeing before key 2? That's where we should be. Yes, victory. Okay, awesome. I'm so sorry about that. And I missed that you were asking the questions. Sorry. All right, let's move along. So, key number 2 is before the scroll. So, that is when somebody lands on the site, you have 11 seconds to make an impression, 3 seconds to load the site. And honestly, it should be less than that because we're really just getting more and more impatient. And then we have 8 seconds to communicate that either you're on the right place as a user or you're not. So, how the heck do we make that happen in 8 seconds? Well, you do it by the 4-step action method, is what I call it. So, take a screenshot of this one, it's really important. And then you go check out your own site to make sure before you touch anything, you want to make sure it's clear what do you offer, who is it for, how is it going to transform their life, and lastly, a clear call to action. Those 4 things you want to communicate before you move on. And you can do that using images and text and buttons. Okay? Key number 3, take the lead. So you are the expert and you want to guide them through the site smoothly to show them where they should land. So you can think of this as you are the guide and your user is the hero. And I'm using that as an analogy for like movies. The Karate Kids comes to mind. So Mr. Miyagi is the guide. Karate Kid is the hero in the story. So you want to move them through the site confidently and thoughtfully. Okay. So you want to think of it as a perfect dance partner. Sorry, it didn't change again. Okay. There it goes. I don't know why it's moving so slowly. No, I think it changed. We're having some technical issues. I'm so sorry. So you want to think of it as a perfect dance partner who feel your vibe, instantly connect, and then they sense your movement and intention, and together you move seamlessly throughout the dance floor or the site. Do you have it to be in the percent? I do have it in to be in presenter mode. This is why it's so weird. But I think maybe I need to, let's see, moving along there, I hope. So you want to have simple navigation to not overload. Meaning you can almost think of it as when you walk into a big old cereal, there's a gazillion different options on what to choose. You want to, because you know where the end user wants to go and where you want them to go. So you want to tighten it down and make it really clear in navigation where they should be going. So less options, not a cereal aisle kind of option. I think I have to do it that way. Okay, number 2 is clear on what you stand for and how you're doing things. So this is where you share your values, your perspective, as I said, what you stand for. This is where you really make a connection. It's not necessarily about showing the features. It is too, but you make the connection by sharing what you stand for, and this is where you really connect with your audience to see if they're an ideal fit for you. So telling stories, showing your knowledge in a way versus telling about your knowledge. Number 3 is uh, going back for give an overview idea. Sorry, I'm clicking in between all my things here to make sure you see it. But give an overview of what it is they offer. So at a glance, here's an example that you see on the screen, but you want to just quickly give them, these are the things that I can offer for you. And if it sounds right, then we want to dive in. So something I want to point out, a website is for a potential new client. And again, we don't have so much time. We want to just quickly get a glance and see if it's a good fit. Number 4, explain your process in bite-sized pieces. And this is to set expectations. So both for the end user, so the client, and for me, the business owner, so they know what to expect. How does it look like to work with you? I want to feel a part of this process or get an idea what this process is in before we even dive in. Number 5, explain pricing. Transparency, remove any kind of barrier. Depending on what industry you're in, it's more important than others. Can you let me know what industry you are in? I do work with a lot of financial advisors, so I wanted to check if you're a financial advisor, maybe. Bookkeeping, okay. Not us, Jody. If you're a financial advisor, yay, we got the financial advisor here. Awesome. It's really important to be transparent. Really important. Because it's all, well, if you're an RIA, then you're fiduciary, then even more so. But it really helps to set expectations. And pricing is another thing that really connects or disconnects. So you want to check making sure that your pricing is aligned with the ideal client you have. So if something is too cheap for a high-end client, it's not going to connect. So, and then vice versa, of course. So it's really important what you set your pricing and being clear on it, especially for your financial advisors. Number 6 here is peer reviews. That's another way to show your credibility, show your work that you've done previously. And again, for financial advisors, this depends on which state you're in, if you're able to do it, and if you're registered with SEC or not. But if you can do reviews or testimonials, those are excellent to pull into your site to, again, guide your user through who it is that you're going to be working, how is it going to be working together, what have other had experience with, and this here gives a lot of trust, as well as these as seen in. So if you had any kind of work that been showcased in bigger website, bigger media platforms, those are really good to showcase too. Number 7 is the call to action. So this is where we want to lead them to take action. And it could be, in this case, it is on the screen, we have a prospect form, but it could also be to schedule a call. This depends on, usually, I would say a prospect form is good if you want to filter through a little bit more. If you have had your practice for a long time and you're just wanting a few more clients, if you're fresh out the gate and starting out, then schedule a call might be really good to have as a call to action. Even if they're not a good fit, you can learn so much from doing these discovery calls or free consultations, both what it is that the client is looking for, how to even do your discovery calls, learning the process of it, and just making it more smooth. And it could also be signing up for an email list. This typically I would have secondary, but if somebody's really focusing on bringing in their audience to the learning side of things, then that could be a good option too. And oh, here it is. Because if you don't get them into schedule a call, as I said, I would have it as a secondary. If they're not ready to sign up with you, being in the email list and just sending out value to them And I also should point out, if they're interested, they do look forward to getting your emails. So sometimes we have this feeling, or a lot of people have this feeling that, I don't want to have another email list. But there are emails, like I know, for instance, I have a few emails that I look forward for when they show up. I knew on Tuesday I get one, and on Thursday I get one. I look forward to getting those. You want to be that for your ideal client, so they look forward to it. And then, you're building up your relationship through the email instead. Key number 4 is the visual appeal. Let's see. We are moving along, I think. So, ever stepped into your favorite car and it just how it makes you feel? Or have you ever walked into a hoarder's home and you just feel like crowded? Visuals make such a big difference. I don't know if I have this note in here, but it's actually 80% of communication is visual, from facial expression, hand expression, from what you wear, to just how you show up. But it's a big one. So subconsciously, it matters so much more than you think. We make snap judgments just like that. Just like, I was mentioning, 11 seconds is all you have on the home screen. Oops, making sure we're moving along. Yes, I think so. Um, 11 seconds is what you have to give that judgment, or give somebody the opportunity to judge. We don't necessarily want to judge, but you know what I mean? We make it very quickly to feel like if we're in the right place. So you do want to make sure that your design is consistent. Um, Fonts, colors, yep, here. Fonts, colors, photos, space. So colors, I would say you want to do less than more, because you don't want it to turn into a circus. But I usually say 1 to 3 accent colors, and 1 to 2 main colors, 1 to 2 neutral colors for contrast. Font, title font, subtitle font, and a body font. And then lifestyle photos to communicate the experience. We're not looking for bio photos that just, hand crossed and looking right in the camera. We want to feel you, like you feel me being here with you right now. It is creating, even if you work virtually, I want to point that out. It's about creating the experience that they would get with you in person on your website. So they really get the sense of how it is. If you're full of energy, or if you're more professional, if you, yeah, whatever it might be that you want to communicate. And then, of course, space is really important. Um, just like the feeling we were talking about when you're in a hoarder's house, it's just like you can't breathe. You want space between your images and your text so you can take in a sentence, breathe, and then go to the next one. Space is really, really important. Key number 5, this is under the hood, and that is not maybe always as exciting, or sometimes it is. It's more logical, maybe, or mathematical. Uh, and this is really important too. So I have 6 ways on how you should update your site, or how you should make sure it's up to date. So it's fast, responsive, secure, legally protected, and all that stuff. So we're going to dive into those 6 different things here. Okay. Oops. Yes. Number 1 is site speed. If you have a slow site, people just leave. People do not have time to wait. It is really important to move fast. And to make sure that it loads fast, you want to make your images small size wise. So you can have them large on the screen, like I have these images large on the screen, but you want the size to be small. So when you take a photo, for instance, with your camera, it usually, or your phone, it turns into being in the megabytes. We want to make sure, write this number down, 200 KBs for a large image. And there are tools out there, whether you're using Canva, or there's a tool called, ooh, tomato something, ketchup, I think it's called. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the chat here later. That can size the images for you because you really want to make sure they go they load fast. If you have videos on there, you don't want to host them on the site. You want to host them on YouTube, Vimeo, and then take the URL onto your site. So that's site speed. Number 2 is responsive and accessible. So you really want to make sure that the site is moving along, whether it's on a big screen. I have a really big screen over here, for instance. It's going to work on there. And then obviously you have your mobile phones, which basically is like, what did I read the stat? I should have the stats on this, but I think it's like 55% of people are on mobile phones right now. So, but you want to make sure, because at work, usually we're on bigger screens, and then on after work, we're on the phone. So want to make sure it works in all places. Accessibility, really important too. So this means that it works for people that have hearing or visual, what's the word? Yeah, not able to hear and see as well. So putting color in contrast so you can see them, having clear buttons. It also means naming your images with, it's called alt tags. So you can, so the computer can read out loud what's on the image, for example. Number 3 is security. So back in the days, you used to be able to not have an SSL certificate, which is really important now. I think Google wouldn't even allow you not to have it, so you might not even think about it, but it is in the URL bar. You see HTTP : and your URL. You also want the S in there to make sure it's secure. And then you also want to make sure the site is up to date and have the latest themes, plugins, and all of that, just so we don't open up for any kind of hackers, really, because it doesn't matter if you don't have anything exciting on the site. People just get in there to get in there, unfortunately. All right, moving along. Oh my gosh, time is running out already. Legally protected, you want to make sure you have your legal information in place. So privacy policy, terms, disclaimer. Specifically for financial advisors, you want to make sure you have the consent-based email sign up. So you sign up and then you're making sure that check mark we're on the site. You also want to archive your website as a financial advisor. You don't need to do that unless you're a financial advisor, but it is good to archive it anyways, just in case something happens. So making sure you have your legal stuff in place. Number 5, SEO, search engine optimization. All right. This means clear, structured URLs. So, for instance, khag design / website customization instead of khag design / 523366 something. You want to have the actual written words that helps for search engines to find you. Then on the page, you want to make sure you have your meta description and alt tags. Alt tags were the ones that I just talked about for the images. So it says if somebody is not able, visually impaired was the word I was looking at before. If you're visually impaired, the computer reads to you. And those are also really good for search engines. So have those in place. You want to link to different sites, specifically larger sites. So if you have an article in the Wall Street and you're able to actually link to that and them linking back to you, golden. Even best is if they link back to you, which for bigger sites, unfortunately, doesn't happen so often. But if you can, you want to make sure you do that. All right. And you also want to link in between your pages to make sure that the content is relevant. And then lastly, we have AEO, answer engine optimization. So this is AI now. So now when you go, maybe you don't even use Google search anymore. You use ChatGPT, for instance. So when you're looking for something, you put it in there. So to making sure that it's optimized for AI, you want to make sure you are cited at trusted sites. That could be Google Business, Google Reviews, Yelp, and then any listings for your specific industry, whatever that might be. any of those and make sure they're all consistent. So if it's Kay Haggard Design, Karen Haggard, founder and creative director, you want to have the same information everywhere. So the AI can look and see that, oh, this is connected. This is the same thing. That is really important. If you can have media mentions or guest articles, excellent, because then AI would start looking and see, oh, they're everywhere. And then you want to optimize questions, so FAQs for AI. So back in the days, or just a few years ago, or a year ago, we would Google web designer, financial advisor, maybe. Now we're more asking real questions. I'm looking for a web designer that works with financial advisors who are in San Diego. So you want to have a full question, how you would actually ask it. Then the same thing we were talking about before, the reviews are really important. And it's not only on the front end, but it's also on the back end, because AI is going to look to see, is this a person that I want to recommend? Is it relevant? Do they show up in different places? So the reviews and testimonials really helps out. Published authority content. So that's you writing content for your website, or same thing as you writing guest articles. Having published authority content, again, will make AI look around and see, is this person really creating good content, or what are they doing? And is it consistent? Is another reason why you want to publish content frequently. And let's see, the brand consistency is also actually really important, so that you show up. Like, say, for instance, I was looking for something the other day and I had to ask about a color because that's all I could remember. And it showed up for me because it was using the same color throughout. So you want to make sure you have your brand consistency across all platforms, having the same information, same mission statements, everything should be consistent, just so the AI would know if this is actually relevant. Whew. That was all that I had today. And I'm going to do a really quick recap because we're already at 30 minutes. Sorry, I'm taking a little bit longer today. But number one is making sure that it's the focus, making sure that the site is clear on what you want the user to do and who the user is, and that we actually talk with them, not at them, not about them, but with them. So choose your words wisely. Key number two is before the scroll. So that's before you scroll anything further down. You just land on the site, just like you see my screen right now. You see one screen, and in there you want to make sure that we can see, who is it for, what are you offering, how is it going to transform their life, and a clear call to action. And we have 11 seconds. So very quickly, we want to communicate that. Number three is take the lead. Confidently guide the user throughout the site by easy navigation, clear and true to yourself. Have a quick overview of what it is that you offer, bite-sized information, how the process work, and clear on pricing. Testimonials is excellent if you can have them, or reviews. And then you want to have, if they're not ready to sign up and actually take the number one call to action, you want to have the email sign up as a secondary. So you get them in as a warm lead. Number four is the visual appeal. 80%, as I said, of communication is visual. So make sure that you are consistent with color, fonts, spacing, and styling. And number five is under the hood. Optimize your page speed, responsive, that you are ADA approved, security, that you're protected, and then you have all your legal documents in place. And then lastly is SEO and AEO. And I'm not going to run over that because we just did that. Whew, that is it. That's all I want to chat with you about today. So let me know if you have any questions. I'm so happy to answer anything that you might be wondering about. Any questions? How can I help you? Let's see if we can update your site somehow. Questions? I'll take a little glass of water. Oh, I was going to look for the Tomato. That's what I want to. If you guys are still here, no questions yet. I'm going to quickly see what that was. It's ketchup. That's what it's called. I think it's ketchup. So if you just Google ketchup image sizing, you should be able to find a place to size your images. All right, let's see what we got here. Thanks for Gray Eye if you're still on. If you're still honing in on your ideal client, is it best to leave the site messaging flexible until then? So yes, you can. So really, when you start out and not certain of who you are, that's when I would really make sure to listen during your discovery call. And then also really listen to yourself of what it is that you like to do and where you can help the most. And then also, I want to point out that an ideal client doesn't have to be a certain industry. It could be a worldview. It could be a time in a journey. It can be a transition. So look at where you have the most knowledge, where you can help people the most. Look at those things. But yes, you can be a little bit general in the beginning, but the more clear you are, so this is a little bit of a catch 22, because the more clear you are on, I work with purpose driven service providers, and I'm going to yell that on top of my lungs. I don't want to work with somebody unless they're in that sphere. They care about the work, for instance. Then you have an easier way to connect with them. So it's going to be a little bit harder to connect with your ideal client until you're very clear, because the more clear you are, the easier it is to let them know that you know, number one, you know the problem they're having, but you also have a unique way to solve that problem. So if you're starting out, you can be general, but the quicker you start seeing, you know what, I don't really like to work with this type of person, and that could be many different reasons, or I really like to work with this type of person, then I would hone in as much as I can. And also, I want to point out, just because you're honing in on, I don't know, females in tech does not mean you cannot work with a gentleman that shows up and really likes your personality. It just means that your marketing is going to speak directly to your ideal client. I get clients that not always align with my marketing content, but they align with what I want to do or what they want to do, or we have a connection in one way or another. So that is something, that's an approach that you can take. Any other questions? Well, then I want to thank you for being here today. Whoops, the wrong way. And if you do have any more questions, feel free to reach out to me via, let's make it a little smaller, email, or you can find me on any social, K Hager Design. And of course, you can check out my site, which you probably have been on since you're here. But thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have a magical